Temporarily from the New Hampshire Liberty Forum in Manchester, New Hampshire, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, February 20th, 2016. Silver is trading at $15.35 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,226 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $429. Antiwar.com reports after repeatedly demanding the U.S. choose between them and the Kurdish YPG, Turkey is once again picking up demands for the U.S. to sever all ties with the YPG after accusing them of being behind this week's Ankara bombing, which the U.S. government denies. The U.S. has rejected the demand, with the State Department saying this is not about choosing sides and that the U.S. has no intentions of ending its contacts with the YPG. The White House did, however, say they'd warned the Kurds to stop seizing territory along the Syrian border. The U.S. has struggled with its ties with the YPG, as they've been the main faction fighting against the Islamic State, but have also tried to limit the support to the country's east because Turkey gets so angry when they gain territory around the Euphrates River. This has meant the YPG depends on U.S. air support in the east, but Russian air support around Aleppo province, and has Turkey's President Erdogan accusing the YPG of being in league with Russia at times and in league with the U.S. at other times.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap and Amazon, at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
Reuters reports one of the final 4 people arrested in the occupation of a federal wildlife refuge in Oregon was granted a pretrial release from jail on Friday on condition that she avoid contact with any of her co-defendants, including her husband. Sandra Anderson, along with her husband Sean, Jeff Banta, and David Fry, surrendered peacefully to the FBI on February 11th, ending a 41-day standoff at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in remote eastern Oregon. The 4 holdouts were indicted the prior week, along with 12 others previously arrested, including protest leader Eamon Bundy, on charges of conspiring to impede federal officers during the occupation. A 13th participant in the protest, who acted as a spokesman for the group, Robert Lavoie Finicum, was shot dead by state police on a snow-covered roadside on January 27th. Under terms of her court-ordered release, Anderson is required to find and maintain full-time employment or approved schooling, or a combination of the two, as directed by pretrial services officials. She is also barred from owning or possessing firearms, traveling outside of Oregon or her home state of Idaho without prior approval, or having any contact with her co-defendants, including her husband, who remains incarcerated. She was also required to undergo mental evaluation and counseling at the direction of U.S. Pretrial Services Office.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports the last remaining incarcerated member of the so-called Angola Three was released in Louisiana on Friday after serving a sentence that placed him in solitary confinement for 4 decades, which is perhaps the longest stretch of correctional isolation ever spent by any prisoner in American history. Prior to his release on Friday, Albert Woodfox retroactively pled no contest to charges of manslaughter and aggravated burglary in connection with the death of a prison guard at the Louisiana State Penitentiary, also known as Angola, in 1972. At the time, Woodfox and another politically active inmate, Herman Wallace, were implicated in the guard's death, put on trial, and convicted. The convictions only served to lengthen their sentence since they were already inmates serving time for armed robbery when 23-year-old corrections officer Brent Miller was stabbed to death. A third inmate, Robert Hillary King, was also a member of the Angola Three, but was placed in solitary confinement for an unrelated conviction. In the decades that followed, though, the merit of the men's conviction was increasingly called into question. Woodfox had been convicted twice for the crime and was facing a third prior to Friday's release. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.